Welcome, everyone. We would love to hear in the chat who is with us today and where you may be zooming in from. So we'll get started in just a minute. Welcome, everyone. We're just about to get started, and just a reminder, we will be sharing this recording and the slides after the webinar as well. So be on the lookout for that email. Welcome. My name is Jeff Ader. I am the Senior Director of Corporate Insights and Programs here at Points of Light. For those that may not be familiar, Points of Light is a global, nonpartisan organization that inspires, equips, and mobilizes millions of people to take action that changes the world through volunteering and community engagement. We work with individuals, with nonprofits, and with companies, which brings us here today as we share more about the Civic 50 program. So we have a lot of exciting content to get through on today's webinar. We'll walk through an overview of the Civic 50 survey and benefits to participating. Also very excited to have with us today Farron Levy with True Impact. He'll share more about leveraging your results and the scorecard reports that participants receive. Also excited to have with us today Melissa McDonnell, who leads the Liberty Mutual Foundation, to share some great insights as a longtime Civic 50 honoree. But before we jump in, I want to make sure we take a moment to congratulate all of the 2024 honorees. This group, as you can see, spans just about every industry, but really represents companies that continue to raise the bar for driving positive social impact in their communities and in their businesses themselves. So I'd love to see in the chat if we have any attendees here from honoree companies today. Feel free to drop in your company and where you're zooming in from. So you can learn more about these honorees in our annual insights report, which we'll drop a link to in the chat, that also includes benchmarking data from this year's honorees. So Points of Light developed the Civic 50 more than a decade ago and really designed it as a roadmap to help companies better understand and improve the community engagement and social impact work they're doing, and really spotlight kind of those top tier companies that are implementing kind of leading practices throughout the sector. The survey itself is self-administered. All of the questions are quantitative and multiple choice, so there's no human judging element to the scoring. With that too, each company's scores are normalized based on their number of employees and their annual revenue, just to reduce the kind of inherent differences and challenges across companies and industries. And lastly, it is free to take, and we only publicize the top 50 companies that make the list. So there's really no risk to participating. The survey itself is based on the Civic 50 framework, which, for all the changes that we've seen in the CSR and ESG fields, we believe it's really remained quite timeless and useful. And so all of the questions fall into these four categories. First is investment. And this really examines how extensively and strategically your company applies its resources to community engagement. So this includes everything from volunteering, hands-on and skills-based, financial and in-kind giving, as well as your advocacy activities. The second is integration. And here we're really looking at how your company's community engagement program supports your business and integrates throughout your departments and various business functions, from marketing and PR to HR and employee skill development. Next is institutionalization. This section looks at how your company supports community engagement and volunteerism throughout its institutional policies, systems, and incentives. So everything from performance reviews to leadership participation and trainings. This is really at kind of building that culture of service beyond just hosting volunteer events throughout the year. And lastly is impact. And here we're not looking at which companies have the largest impact, but rather your company's approach to measuring impact, both of the work that you're doing in the community, but also how your volunteerism and social impact work is having an impact on your business itself. Really getting at kind of moving beyond the inputs and outputs and getting at those outcome and impact measures. So we wanted to highlight several ways companies find value in participating and how stakeholders are benefiting from the recognition. First and foremost are CSR teams. Many of the attendees here today may be from those teams. This program really creates a roadmap for understanding and benchmarking all of the social impact and community engagement activities that they're doing, and helps identify where they may have gaps and opportunities to strengthen and scale those activities and initiatives. Another key stakeholder are senior executives. The honorary designation and recognition of gives them an easy and compelling way to communicate their company's commitment to community. Every year, we see more and more CEOs talking about this designation, and often see it coming up on stakeholder and investor calls as a real pride point for the company. Similarly, marketing PR teams also find great value in this program. We see it highlighted externally throughout the year in their communications and PR announcements, as well as communications to their customers and clients, that many stakeholders that increasingly are growing more interested in caring about the company's commitment to community. And lastly, and I think this is most importantly, are your employees. This program really gives your employees something to celebrate and can also serve as a pride point for them. Helps them better understand how their active participation, whether through participating in a volunteer event or employee resource group or their individual giving that gets matched by the company, how that all contributes to their company's overall impact and strategy. Every year, we see more and more employees from wide variety of departments taking part in the celebration. So before we jump in and hear from some of the experts we have with us here today, I want to share just some important details for companies that are interested in participating. As of today, the survey is now open. You can access it along with a variety of helpful resources, instructions, FAQs, as well as a downloadable document with all of the survey questions, which many companies find useful for gathering their responses and data. That can all be found on our applicant information page, which we'll drop a link to in the chat. The survey will remain open through March 13th. So we encourage you to start early, just knowing how long some of the internal reviews can take place once you have all of your responses and data collected. In April, we'll notify the companies of their status and also share their benchmarking reports, which Farron will walk through in just a bit. One exciting update for this year, though, we will actually be announcing the honorees in June at our annual Points of Light conference, which will take place June 3rd through the 6th in New Orleans. More details regarding the timing of that announcement, specific day, will be shared in the coming weeks, but very excited to make an already special week even more special with this announcement, and look forward to sharing more details. Registration is already open, a pre-sale for tickets, so feel free to circulate that with your team, and we'd love to see corporate attendees there take part in this celebration. As I mentioned, our applicant information page is really going to have just about everything that you need to get started, but our team is also standing by, ready to help answer any questions that you may have, especially if this is the first year your company may be participating. So feel free to send us an email at civic50@pointsoflight.org, and we'd be happy to set up a time to talk or walk through your submission. So with that, It's now my pleasure to introduce Farron Levy, the founder and CEO of True Impact. Farron and his team have been longtime partners since the Civic 50 was started in 2012, and just really bring a wealth of insights and expertise in the impact measurement field to this program and really to the sector. So with that, Farron, I'll turn it over to you.
Great, thank you, Jeff, and thanks everyone for joining us in our 13th year of Civic 50. We're pretty excited about this. So I'm just going to spend a few minutes going over the scoring methodology and the reports. It's really pretty straightforward. The survey itself and the scoring are designed to be as simple and transparent as possible. As Jeff mentioned, the idea is not only to celebrate companies and the good work that they're doing, as a way to call attention to and promote more and more effective corporate community investment. But also the survey itself is designed to be really a roadmap for CSR professionals to tackle all the multifaceted elements of CSR and to think about how you can improve it over time. So please just keep that in mind as you're doing the survey, and hopefully you'll see in the scoring methodology it reinforces that as well. So as listed here, simplicity, transparency, each of the 4 dimensions are worth the same. They're each worth 1,000 points. All the questions are worth the same, so it's equally distributed. The points, those 1,000 points, are equally distributed among the questions. And then the answer options are also equally distributed. And there are 3 different kinds of questions. In dimension 1, almost all of them are quantitative entries. So we'll ask a question and you'll put in the number of volunteer hours or amount invested, things like that. The points are distributed in an automatic kind of modeling function where after the surveys are complete, the system will, for each question, stack rank all the company's answers, and the top 20% of answers will get 100% of the points. The next 20% will get 75% of the points, then 50, 25, and 0. So that's the distribution of points. In the other dimensions, 2, 3, and 4, there are drop downs and multi-selects. And for the drop downs, the top option is the highest value option. That gets, if you can answer the top option, you get 100% of the points. If you answer the second one, you get 75, then 50, then 25. And then finally, the multi-selects, again, equally distributed, and more is better. So if there were 4 answer options, you select all 4, you get 100% of the points, and then proportionally down from there. So that's the methodology. Next slide is the scorecard. Now, everyone who participates, as Jeff mentioned, participation is free for all companies, and as part of that, you also get a free benchmarking or scorecard report. And that includes that's kind of highlighted in green here. It shows your overall score and benchmark across all the companies that are participating in the Civic 50 by dimension. There are additional kind of more detailed reports that you could get. They're available for purchase either through the survey itself. At the end, you can say, hey, I'd like a more detailed report, or after you get your free report, if you decide you're interested in more, there's a link on the free report and you can upgrade. But those upgrade reports layer on a little more granularity around scoring and benchmarking. So the sector report looks not only at how you compare to all companies participating in the Civic 50, but then also gives you a separate ranking and score by other companies in your sector. Then the comprehensive report does both those things, the overall score and benchmarking, and then industry level score and benchmarking by question. So you can see examples of that here. The last 2 slides here were addressing the key benefits that we see of the reports and this whole process. We think of the value of measurement and scoring and so on is to help you prove and improve value. So this first slide about celebrating your successes. Um, really, you'll notice with the reports, we take a bunch of different cuts at in perspectives at scoring you, and there are little medals here, there are tiers, you have 10%, have 25%, and so on. It's all to help you find more opportunities to celebrate your wins. So whether you're comparing yourself to companies overall or to your industry, or even just to your own past performance, these can be really compelling ways to kind of pick out, every company can pick out at least a strong handful of wins, things that you really performed well at that you can share either internally with different stakeholders or externally as well. So keep that in mind from a proving value perspective. And then the next slide is about improving value. And here are general guidances. Ultimately, when you complete your survey and get your scorecard, your benchmarking report, you will see some areas that you did really well at, and those will be opportunities to celebrate and demonstrate value. And then other areas that you didn't do as well. And our general guidance there is for you to look for those opportunities where there is room to move, but also that you have practical influence over. So like in this example, maybe the top one, if you're already performing really well, there might not be a lot of room to move. So that might not be the top of your list of things to try to increase the values of. Instead, on these the following three options here, the examples are lower level, and it might be something that you have some influence changing policy or changing some marketing activities within your company to bump up your performance. And one thing to keep in mind is if you don't perform well in a particular area, there's a very big silver lining to that. And that is that the baseline that you're working off of is low. And that means even modest improvements can have a significant kind of win statement that you can attach to it. So oftentimes companies find that they can report on a 25, 50%, even 100% gain because what they did the year before was pretty modest. And now that they're paying attention to it, it's something that they can really move the needle on and then celebrate. So that covers the scorecards. If there are any particular questions, feel free to throw them in the chat. And then otherwise, I would like to hand this off to Lacey and Melissa.
Thanks so much, Farron. Hi, everyone. We are excited you're here with us today to talk about the Civic 50, and I'm thrilled to be joined by Melissa McDonnell, who is the president of Liberty Mutual Foundation at Liberty Mutual Insurance. And in her role, Melissa really oversees Liberty's community investments, including its philanthropic thought leadership, robust employee engagement, and integrated impact, leveraging Liberty's core capabilities, expertise, and assets to drive impact in the community. So excited to dive into a conversation and hear more about what Liberty Mutual is doing. And also just want to congratulate you again. Liberty Mutual was a 2024 Civic 50 honoree. That is actually the fourth year in a row that you have been received the Civic 50 honor. And so we're delighted to have you with us and hear a little bit more about what's happening in your world. So welcome, Melissa.
Thank you so much, Lacey, and thank you for all the work that you all do at Points of Light. We really appreciate your partnership and True Impacts as well. So thank you for having us.
Thank you. So I'd love to start off and just to set the stage, if you can tell us what causes does Liberty Mutual support and how does your strategy really help address those cause areas?
Sure. So the causes that we support really align with what we do as a business and who we are. So we strive to be there for people in moments of crisis And we also strive to help people and communities build resiliency. And we have four work streams, if you will. The first is the foundation. And through the foundation, we commit some $50 million. And on the directed grants, we support people in moments of crisis by helping them, if they're experiencing hunger, homelessness, and then we help people build resiliency through education, workforce development, and then we help communities through climate resiliency. So hunger, homelessness, education, workforce development, and climate resiliency. The second work stream is Liberty Torchbearers, which is our way of supporting our communities and our employees who are involved with the community, whether they want to give or serve. We have a very robust employee engagement program. We have a one-to-one match with no upper limit. And then we have also a Serve with Liberty where we all go out and serve together, as well as other opportunities to support individual service. And the third is our thought leadership. And this was born out of our partners, our community partners, saying to us, yeah, we love the grants you're doing. We really appreciate your employees coming out to serve. And you're leaving something on the table because we want you to also, support, stand behind us and talk about the work that we're doing, help build our profiles, and also speak about the causes that you care about. I think often of one of the causes that we care a lot about is youth and young adult homelessness, a subject that really doesn't get a lot of visibility. It's very, very much flies under the radar. So the feedback we get from our partners is, please talk about what you care about. So we have that as one of our pillars. And then the fourth is integrated impact programming, which looks at our superpowers as a company and how do we bring those to bear on behalf of low-income, vulnerable communities. Obviously, as a property and casualty insurer, one of our superpowers really falls into climate. And so that's something that we're pursuing. So those are our four kind of work streams: foundation, torchbearers, thought leadership, and impact, integrated impact.
I love how you sort of frame this as like, what is that you have as a business that you can contribute to the community? And I know when we were talking about this, it's that belief that progress happens when people feel secure. So tying the work that you're doing back to who you are as a company.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Progress happens when people feel secure.
I love that. And as we've learned more about the work that you're doing through the Civic 50, I know that you have some really amazing programs that you and your team are implementing, and I'd love to hear about some of those programs or partnerships that you're really proud of, and what some of those key success factors are for you.
Sure. So I will share two today. One, of course, I want to go back to Liberty Torchbearers. And Liberty Torchbearers is a program that started, it really started with our Give with Liberty program, which was, employees saying, we used to give through United Way, but we know who we want to give to. So we would like the opportunity to give to them directly. So we started with Give with Liberty, where people can choose where they want to give all over the country. And then in 2012, when we were celebrating our 100th anniversary, we asked our employees, how do we celebrate us? And they said, we want to go out and serve. So all of our employees go out and serve for 3 weeks at a time in May. And that's all over the world. And then from there, as time went on, we recognized there's also a lot of people who are just out there volunteering on their own. They may be, mentoring or tutoring on the weekend. They may be part of an ERG. They may be doing a service project as a team. And so we wanted a way to recognize that as well. So we put all of that activity under Liberty Torchbearers, which gives us that common identity. And Lacey, I'm just going to share one other, along with Liberty Torchbearers, I want to share one other project that we're doing, which I'm so excited about. It's called Impact-Driven Collaboratives. And what we've decided to do this year is, we all know there are so many nonprofits in the world, and there's a great opportunity for us as corporate philanthropists and as corporate leaders to help those organizations work together for greater good. And so we put out an RFP this year for organizations to apply for these impact-driven collaborations, $300,000 planning grants. And so 3 or more groups coming together. And it's so exciting to watch, because I'm going to give you an example. We have a group that is the largest day shelter in Boston, St. Francis House, working with an organization called Home Builders Institute, which provides training around carpentry and green building, working with another organization that provides repairs for low-income seniors and veterans. So, I mean, just think about the impact that they can have all together. And we're excited just learning from them. Yesterday, we kicked off, and we had our chief learning officer at Liberty come and talk with the groups about kind of getting into that growth mindset, which is, I mean, when you think about it, we are so fortunate to have a chief learning officer, and to be able to share her expertise was really, and to hear from them was just so inspiring.
I think what I've loved learning so much about your programs is really how you've taken that opportunity to learn from your community partners, to learn from your employees, like hear what they're saying, what they're interested in, and using that to shape your programs. Really looking at, we're giving, yes, but what else do our employees want us to do? They want us to serve, and building that into torchbearers, and asking your community partners, like, what is it that they need and how can we help bring them together? I think that is just so powerful to really drive the success of your programs.
I totally agree. And I think it's not a static thing. I mean, has to be, that has to be a part of how you do your work, right? You listen to your employees, they may be thinking one thing one year and something else the next year. Listening to our partners, we do the grantee perception report with CEP. That's really valuable for us to get a sense of, what our employees, what our community partners are feeling. And then also just using the Civic 50 as a learning tool for us has been extremely helpful.
Mhm. Can you tell us a little bit more about like how you think about using the Civic 50 as a learning tool, and sort of what you've benefited from that participation in Civic 50?
Sure. So I would say first and foremost, it helps us create a greater impact both in the community and for the business. I think of last year, for example, when we sat down and went through with you all kind of our results. We recognized that we had an opportunity with regard to skills-based programming. So while we did skills-based programming, it just wasn't formalized. So we spent the summer working with our corporate strategy group to figure out how could we really formalize and build up this skills-based. I would also, it impacts our programming. I would also say that it is for us a gold standard, helping us to benchmark with our peers. Another thing I would say about it, Lacey, is that the Civic 50 is actually a galvanizing tool for us, because we pull together people from 23 different parts of the company to share our collective results, because we ask them for information. So we feel like, we want to pull them together and share out how we did, and where we have opportunities. So that's been fantastic for us to have that network that we've built up. And of course, the visibility, and just earning a spot on the Civic 50 is it's such a source of pride for us at Liberty.
It's I love that using it as a galvanizing tool and bringing the groups together, because so much of the data in the Civic 50, you need other business partners and business units to help support collecting that, sharing the full holistic story. And so then to be able to go back and say, this is how we did, this is where we grew, what we achieved, what we've learned. So that the whole organization really understands their part in driving this impact and in delivering the work that you all lead and oversee.
Absolutely. And anytime I'm talking about the Civic 50 in front of any group, which is quite often, um, I will always make it a point to say that this isn't just our department over here doing something, but it really is reflective of a culture that cares very deeply about the community and how we can best show up for our community, so that it is like a collective ownership.
That's fantastic. Can I also ask, you had mentioned the grantee perception report, and how did you sort of go about doing that, and how did that come about for your organization?
Well, we I'm trying to blank on we we've been trying to get feedback for years. Like we've always done different things to try to get feedback from our community partners. And we have received some good feedback. It's just we were all reading the book by, you know who I'm talking about, the book Giving Done Right by Phil Buchanan, Never Far From Me. Um, and he talks about the survey a lot in the book. And we also, he's here in Massachusetts, he serves on the board of Philanthropy Mass. And so we were, as we were reading it, we were thinking, wow, this would help us take things to the next level as far as the level of rigor that goes into getting feedback from the community.
Yeah, I love that. We really talk about our Civic 50 honorees, and what we're recognizing with them is being community minded. And so that community feedback is such a key element of that. So exciting to see just how you've infused that into your programming.
Yeah, and we also have as our on our goals and objectives, we pull our community partners together and we survey them after every event. And so we have specific goals that we set up for ourselves as far as having events that are valuable to them.
So, what advice would you give to other companies that are looking to strengthen and scale their CSR and corporate philanthropic efforts?
I would say one thing is that I would make it a point to benchmark your programming. So you should know how your programming compares with best in class. You should also, I think you should look at how do you compare with others in your industry, and in particular I lean into the other organizations that other business lines talk about being the companies that they compare themselves to. I would say being very articulate about how your CSR efforts tie to your corporate aspirations is very important. And then, like I've said, I would definitely leverage the Civic 50 as a key learning tool to get better and to engage others throughout your company. I think I think for us, we just love the kind of the quality time of doing the debriefs after we submit, and being able to walk through the results. We found that to be terrific learning for us. And even the first year that we submitted, we did not make the Civic 50. And nonetheless, we just were able to learn so much about our program and learn so much about other companies' programs. And I would say that it has just helped us year over year to do this work better. So we just stand in a place of appreciation, actually, that this exists. So thank all of you over there.
Thank you. It's very grateful to hear that. And I think it is, just so valuable to use whatever tools are out there and available to you, Civic 50 or whatever other ways that you can sort of see how do you continually grow and improve your programs. And also just recognizing that as the business changes, your programs will likely change. As new generations of employees come in, your programs may need to change. So that taking that time to really learn what went well, what didn't, where you can grow with your programs, just helps you continue to improve and make deeper impact. So I appreciate the way that Liberty really thinks about that with their programming.
Mhm. Yeah, we are super committed to being a learning organization, and that applies to our work in the community for sure.
I think that's such a great way to think about it. Like, how do we continue to learn in all aspects as a business with our community and together with our employees? So, thank you so much for sharing that. Any final thoughts or things that you want to share with us about what's exciting and happening at Liberty, or just as you think about making a deep impact in your community for other companies?
I think the only thing I might just underscore is that it's very easy, I think, as companies it's very easy to forget how much opportunity we have. And, even like yesterday, as I was saying, like being in that room with our chief learning officer and all of these directors of nonprofit organizations. And, one of them, and I were talking today and just kind of laughing, like, how valuable it was to just like talk about leadership, talk about how you show up as a leader, talk about how you show up to collaborate, like these things that are part of how we do business. And so often our nonprofit partners don't have access to those things, and yet they can be super valuable. So I think as we move forward, like what we will see over the years is just more and more companies being able, all of us just being able to give more and more of ourselves and our expertise, our talent, and engage at a whole new level. So it's really exciting.
Yeah, it's so true. We can give financially, we can give with time, and there's so much expertise and connections, access that companies have to share as well. That really looking at how do you bring the full scope of your expertise and gravitas as a company to use that to help drive change and support your community. Yes. Well, Melissa, thank you so much for sharing about the work that you and your team are leading, for sharing just how you think about incorporating learnings from the Civic 50 into your community programming. Very grateful for your time with us today. And we are excited to have you as a Civic 50 honoree once again. So thank you for all the work that you're doing.
Thank you so much, Lacey.
Thank you. Well, Everyone, we also wanted to share with you just a couple of other recognition opportunities that you may not be aware of to take advantage of for your company as we're talking about the Civic 50 survey launching today. We also have regional Civic 50 programs that happen in Greater Philadelphia through the Chamber of Commerce for Greater Philadelphia. We have one in Hampton Roads for Volunteer Hampton Roads, and then also one in Orange County through One OC. And those all have varying time frames, but you can find more information through our website. Coming up in April, we have Global Volunteer Month, which is an opportunity to really celebrate and recognize your employee volunteers. We have some resources with a ready-to-use social media toolkit, and some other ways to get involved if you are interested in learning more about that and really helping to celebrate the work that volunteers do in the month of April. And then also our Daily Point of Light Award. This is something that Points of Light has been doing for many, many years. And what many don't realize is that companies can also nominate their employee volunteers for this award. It's an excellent and free way to really recognize and spotlight the work of your employee volunteers. You can learn more. Jeff dropped the link into the chat to learn more about the program and submit a nomination. We have one that was recently featured as the Daily Point of Light awardee 7,941, who is from the RTX Employee Resource Group, which is a corporate service council member of Points of Light. And we were thrilled to see this recognition come in for one of their employees. So you can also learn more about Brian Reed's story and many of our other Daily Point of Light honorees on our website. If you have any questions, again, please do get in touch with us. We are sharing the recording and the slides from this. All the information is available on our website that was dropped in the chat earlier. And then again, you can email us at civic50@pointsoflight.org with any questions. We really hope to see many of you apply and take this opportunity to learn and benchmark where you are, opportunities to learn and grow, and be recognized for the work that you and your employees are doing to make an impact in your communities. Thank you all so much for joining us today, and hope you have a great rest of your afternoon.